next meeting. So it's 3:32 according to my computer, and I'm going to call this special meeting of the Budget, Capital, and Personnel Committee to order. And I note that all members of BCP are present. Amanda, you want to kick off GO?
Sure, I will call Government Operations Committee to order. And I think we are still missing 2 of our members. Oh, there's Leslie. So,
okay,
ready to go.
Okay, so you have quorum.
Yes.
And the purpose of this meeting is to consider the resolution appropriating funds from the contingent fund and creating a position of budget manager and budget analyst, ID number 10135. I assume we have to get this moved and seconded by both committees, so I will entertain a motion from someone on BCP. Martha moves, Glenn seconds. Amanda?
Someone on GO want to move this? Rich moves, Leslie seconds. Thank you.
Okay, so it's on the floor. Who would like to speak to this motion and introduce it for us all?
Deborah, just to qualify, that was emailed to us today, and it's page 5 of the PDF. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
So Jason or Ruby or Lisa, someone?
I'd be happy to jump in and start. And to bring everyone up to speed, and I believe you all received the memo as well as the resolution, but we brought this information forward in executive session at the Budget, Capital, and Personnel Committee last week. It was a bit unorthodox in terms of its timing, but it's a bit unorthodox in terms of what's happening in administration, in that our current budget czar is leaving us in short order. And so the first part of the request is that we fill his position as expeditiously as possible, and that involves a salary upgrade and change in title that is actually commensurate for the position. And that's less of an issue as the second position, which is we're recommending that a budget analyst, an additional position, be considered. This is something that we were planning on putting forth for the 2022 budget considerations. But given that Kevin has such longevity and experience, we thought that we should bring it forth for your consideration. For bringing one person in, it would make sense to bring 2 people in at the same time and learn the process. And we feel that, 2 positions are needed to handle a budget of the size and complexity of the counties. So that's the background, and leave it to you guys to consider.
Okay, I see Martha's hands up.
Thank you, Deborah. This is for either Lisa or Jason or Ruby. When several years ago, when we had Kevin Sutherland and Kevin McGuire in place, what was Kevin Sutherland's title? Anybody know? He was senior to McGuire.
So there's issues with title in general. Right now, Kevin's title is actually the executive assistant to the county administrator, which is not a fitting title. And frankly, one of the things I was going to be working on this year is clarifying title issues that exist in their office. And when I actually came here, Kevin's title was the executive assistant to the county administrator, and Autumn's title was a very low-level competitive position. We've changed her position to secretary to the administrator with the intent that this year we would change Kevin's title to project director manager, and Autumn's title would really be the executive assistant to the county administrator. And that's the appropriate titles for those 2 individuals for the roles that they're filling. So that cleanup was going to happen this year, irrespective of what's going on now. So those are the titles. They don't necessarily reflect duties and responsibilities. And that's kind of some of the history behind it.
Okay, then I'm gonna change my question then. I'm trying to say that I think we have, in a sense, had second budget position before. And when Kevin Sutherland left, we didn't replace him. So that this isn't so out of the ordinary, I guess I'm trying to say, in the sort of justification for why this certainly goes to target. And if in case anybody thinks it's because Jason's leaving, whatever, this is something we've had before. So is there any clarity on what the other title was?
I don't know what the other title was. I mean, I can just say, just speaking, you have a $200 million budget and you have one person that works on the budget, which is wholly, I would say a shortcoming with respect to the size and complexity of what you're working on. And you're in a situation where you have the ability to really define the title as it should be. And, I'll be honest, probably would have come to you this fall and added requested a budget analyst position to begin with, just because of the amount of challenge it is putting together a budget of this size and complexity, which is really an all-year event. It doesn't, there isn't a pause period in preparation of budget.
Right. Okay. I'm just saying, like, for the public, this is kind of going back to what we had before, in my view.
And I will note that yesterday, we had a very preliminary meeting with leadership and administration on how we're going to move forward with dealing with the ARP funds. And there's a lot of tracking and justifying and reporting that's attendant upon that. And that's even after you're clear on what you can and can't do with that money, which we're not really close to clear right at the moment. I think that is going to be a big piece of the work that these two new staffers will be doing, in addition to our normal budget process. So bear that in mind. Does anybody have any other comments on this or questions? Well, it's going to be a short meeting, isn't it? Are we?
Kathy does.
Deborah,
Kathy.
Oh, okay.
I just want to comment that I did correct the title, considered a manifest error. I changed budget manager to budget director.
Director. Okay, thanks, Kathy. I've got so much paper and I just came from another budget meeting for TCAT and I can't keep track. So thank God you're on top of it. Mike.
Maybe the reason we don't have a lot to say is because of many questions were asked in executive session. And it would seem, unless you just want everything on public record at this point that was said back then, I don't really think it's necessary. I think the resolutions speak for themselves.
Okay, thank you. That's a fair point. But if anybody wants to put anything on the record for the interest of their constituents, I understand that as well. Rich?
I would just go on record as saying I support this, and commenting further on Jason's statement. We manage a lot of money. I don't think the taxpayers understand how much money we pass through our accounts, and this makes sense to me as a good fiscal responsibility measure, as well as to get the job done. Thanks.
I agree. Thanks for that. Are BCP members ready to vote? All right then. Martha?
Yes. Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
All right, and GEO members, Dan,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
and I'm yes as well. Thank you.
All right then. Thank you, everybody. Does anybody have anything else they want to say before we adjourn?
Thank you.
All right, all in favor of adjourning?
Thank you. See y'all
All
soon.
right, thanks. We'll see you all shortly again. Bye-bye.
Thanks.